Today on Geekazine, we're going to take a look at this. It's called Vibe. It's Transcribe on your own. It is software that you put onto the computer to do a little bit of AI. We're going to talk about that next on Geekazine. What's up, my geeks? Jeffrey Powers here from Geekazine. Think Magazine put in a geek. Today, we're taking a look at Vibe. This is software you're going to download onto your computer. This is software that's going to run from your computer. And this is software that's going to help you with your AI creation as well. So there's a lot of things that you can actually download and install onto a computer, especially a computer that has a little bit of heft to it. Like, for instance, my machine is an Intel Core i9 processor with a 4070 graphics card from Nvidia. Now, in all reality, this card is not the top of the line. The processor is not top line. In fact, it's a few years old. I do have more than enough memory in there, more than enough RAM in there to work, but it's more about that GPU for a lot of things. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you this program. It's called Vibe, and all it does is simply just helps you transcribe audio. You could talk into it and it will transcribe it. You can bring a video into it and it will transcribe it. You can bring audio into it and it will transcribe it, and it will give you different file formats. And that's what we're going to take a look at next here on Geekazine. First of all, I do have to let you know, the software is absolutely free. So there was, they didn't supply anything. And of course, nobody's paying me for this video. I have a full review policy over at geekazine.com/review that talks about how I get products, how I review products, and how I send it out to you. All opinions are my own, like I said. And of course, if you've got a product that you want me to review, all you have to do is go down there, go to the contact, and contact me. One more thing before we get started. The new T-shirt is out. I don't have it yet. I do have the Today I Am AI T-shirt, which you can definitely get. But the new T-shirt is 80s Jesus Saved Me, which is one of my original designs. You can get it in multiple colors. You can get it on Amazon over at my Amazon, amazon.com/shop/Geekazine, or on Teespring, which if you're on youtube.com/Geekazine, you'll be able to find the links right there. It should be in the products area that you can get. Otherwise, I'll have the links in the description as well. All right. With that said, with that done, let's go ahead and talk about Vibe. What is Vibe? Vibe is absolutely free. It is up on GitHub. It is produced by the White Eagle. If you've ever gone up on GitHub, the first time gets a little bit, what do I do? What do I do? And then after you start getting some of these files, these repositories, then you start going in and using them. And of course, GitHub also has a downloadable file that will help you save your favorite gits, as they call it. So you can come back and use them again. I do have a GitHub. I think it's github.com/Geekazine. I haven't been there in a while, but I do have a couple projects up on GitHub as well. So anyway, GitHub, as you can see, this is what you first see when you get to this page. So it's github.com/the White Eagle with a 1 instead of the I /Vibe. And as you can, it's right there, the White Eagle. And if you go to the White Eagle's page, you can see all the GitHubs that this person has done, all the activity. In fact, if I go to Geekazine, I don't have anything public. I do have a couple WordPress plugins that I could put in here. So, but I've done stuff for some other organizations for sure, which is why I have the GitHub. All right, so this is the White Eagles, and of course, this is Vibe. It's totally free. Like I said, so support is on your own. So they have all the files here, which you can download and then you can read on how to install. But there is a download link here to make it easy to install, which was super easy to install. You just download it and install it. Of course, you got to download it for the platform that you're on. I do have Vibe on this machine, but since I'm doing the switching and recording from this machine, I decided that I won't tax my machine too much with Vibe. So I switched it over to my Mac. So this is on my Mac Mini, and this is a Mac Mini M1. So my computer, which is like I said, it is an Intel Core i9, 11th generation processor with 4070 card in there. The Mac Mini is a standard Mac Mini M1 base model, 256 gigs of storage in there and 8 gigs of RAM. And then I've also installed it onto one of my Intel NUCs, which is an older i5 that came from, I don't know, 2012. I use it for things like my Slack and doing simple stuff, but still needed. It's a small computer. It's perfect. Both of these I remote into from this computer so I can access what it is. So the requirements of using Vibe on your computer are relatively low. That i5 model, like I said, it's a Core i5. It's got Intel graphics on it and not much. It's not even a Skull Canyon. What it did do is it transcribed, but it took almost all the resources, and it took a lot longer to do. The Mac does a pretty decent job. This M1 does a pretty decent job. My computer does a really decent job as well. So keep in mind, if you do transcribe it, that what it's going to do is it is going to be reading the file and then going through the transcription. So when you first install it, it will bring down the language model files that you need. And of course, you can choose many different languages here. We've got English, we've got Afrikaans, we've got Basque, we got Chinese. There's two areas here. You have the select file, which can be an MP4, it can be an MOV, it can be a MP3, it can be a WAV file, it can be a lot of different versions. And then, of course, you can talk directly into here. So you basically choose your microphone, you choose your speakers, you say I want to save the audio. So if I'm sitting here and I'm going, okay, I want to create a new show, but I want to script it. And I do this on my phone with Google Word and Google Sheets. I'll use the microphone and I'll just talk into the phone and let it transcribe. The problem with that is every now and then, if I'm not watching, all of a sudden it turns itself off, which is a little bit frustrating. Because especially if I'm recording somebody speaking up on stage and trying to get all the words, it's tough enough that, there's, the reverb of the room and maybe they've got a thick accent or something like that. That makes it tougher to transcribe. But if I can put it onto a computer and let it record and transcribe from there, then that's going to save me a lot. And that's what I love about Vibe is it allows me to do that and save the file and actually do different variations of the file. So with Vibe, here we go. Once again, so you can choose to record it straight from your mouth or from somebody's mouth, or you can pull it from a file. Now, where does the file come from? You can do pretty much anything. You could do a podcast episode. You could be recording somewhere else and then bring it home, take the recording, put it in here, and let it transcribe. You can use YouTube and anything, but I will say this, that's copyrighted material. And almost everything, unless YouTube has a Creative Commons license to it. And you're going to have to look in the description to see if that's a Creative Commons. If that's Creative Commons, you should be able to pull from there, no problem. But if it is not, if it's on a standard YouTube license, that's copyright material. So downloading that and transcribing, you could probably use it for your own stuff. But if you start plagiarizing somebody's work, that's going to be a problem right there. So anyway, let's go ahead and go back here. This is Vibe. We got the dark theme on there, so and I got one of the files here. Grabbed one of my old YouTube videos. In this one, I was doing some stuff with a video called Inexpensive Retro Games in One Box. It was for a retro NES device. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the file. I'm going to choose that and open it up. There we go. So now it is loaded into the system. Fairly straightforward. No problems here. From here, we could actually listen to what it is. We could change the file to something else, but we could listen right here. We could change our language. And of course, we have more options down here where we can recognize the speakers, maximum speakers. You got prompt. So let's say Geekazine. There we go. There's one word right there. And then, of course, I do that. And now every time it sees Geekazine, then it will it'll figure that out. Or here's Geekazine, it'll figure that out as Geekazine. So I'll do that. It asks for timestamps for each word instead of each sentence. We're going to leave that as it is. Maximum sentence length of 1. This is for if you're doing SRT transcriptions, transcriptions for television or anything like that, possibly even putting them into YouTube or Facebook, because they do have options for SRT inserts. You can do that there. Threads is for how many CPUs you can use for faster decoding. This one's saying 4. We'll stay at 4. Temperature. This is the temperature of the word that's spoken. If you've got a lot of acronyms, a lot of heavier words like encephalographic technologist, then you might want to set the temperature up a little bit so it can try and really transcribe this. And then, of course, the maximum context. Tokens from past text to prompt for the director. So just different areas to go. So basically, we've got our settings set in our more options. Now it's time that we can hit the transcribe. And as we do that, that changes down here. And we have this right here where you can take a look at, you can watch the transcription happen as it is. Now, if I pulled up my processes, it's definitely going to be taking up a lot of process memory and CPU time. But as you can see with this Mac Mini M1, we're starting to see the first 1% of the transcription happen. And there we go. Well, while it's doing that, I'm going to show you this. We can choose whether we want it as HTML format, PDF format, SRT, VTT, or JSON file. We'll go to SRT, show you that. I think we can do that as we're going. Yes. As you see, this is what's set up for video, like I said, YouTube, for Facebook, or if you're making a TV show and you need timestamps for closed captioning. This will actually help you create those closed captions. So as you can see, let's read the first lines here. What's up, my geeks? Jeffrey Powers here from Geekazine, and we have another Geek Tech Talk Live. That's perfect. That's exactly what I said in that video. We're going to show you this little thing. It's the TrueWire Mini NES gaming console. That's pretty cool. TrueWire is an odd word, so I'm glad that they picked it up. They didn't separate it into True Wire. But as I said, True Wire as opposed to True Wire, I would guess that you would then start to get a little bit confused on that. So it's not an NES gaming console. It's a mini entertainment center, as they say, but it has 621 games. And let's see, 621 games, and a lot of them, I believe, are from NES, and we're going to take a look at these. Open it up and see what's in there and play some more games. I'll link to that video down below. So next on Geek Tech Talk Live. So as you can see, it's doing a pretty good job creating my transcription. It's at 23% right now, and I'm not seeing anything erroneous just yet, but I didn't do any real acronyms or, like I said, encephalographic technologist. We'll see what happens when I say that a few times, how it's going to react to it. But as you can see, there it is. We got SRT, we got text. Let's see what HTML offers. This is a format that once you copy it, it'll be in full HTML format. You can't see there, but there's the timestamps right there. Let's go to PDF format. Some of these third-party programs that insert transcriptions will accept different formats like PDF and HTML and items like that. So this will create a PDF file. We got a VTT file. As you can see, there's a different way to transcribe it. And then, of course, JSON. And you're going to see a lot of code here. But if I think Roku still does JSON files. So if you're creating a video that's going to be on a Roku or any type of desktop streamer, you might need to create a JSON file. This will help you create the transcription for that JSON file. But we keep it a text because that's all we need right now. Because basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of this information and I'm going to throw it into ChatGPT. And then I'm going to say, hey, create me a description, create me a title, create me a blog post that I'll end up re-editing anyway, because that's what I do. It's nice to actually have basics of that and create from here. We're at 48%, 49% as it just changed. So as you can see, it's going from there. I think what it's doing is it's creating, when I create a pause, like for instance, if I paused right there, where I'm seeing it already. And then a little bit of waiting. Look at that. A little bit of wait. There we go. A little bit of wait. It's creating a new line for that. So if I talked consecutively Like here, we got Super Mario Brothers 3, 2, Mario 10, Mario 14, Mario 16, Mario 69, Dr. Mario. It's going to keep going until it hears an actual pause. And since I was going through different games, that makes sense. Here we go. We got, all right, so I say, all right, so what do we got? We're going to go down the puzzle games. Let's see what we got. Hopefully, all right, Angry Bird 2, Angry Bird 3. So it's not really separating from there. But as you can see, lots of there we goes. It's an older file. It's an older video. And of course, it's as we went, and just like with this video, I'm pretty much talking, not too much editing, post-editing on this, maybe a little bit. So you'll see a couple jump cuts from here. But I wanted to keep this as quick, as easy as possible. So we're at 68% now, and we're continuing on with the transcription. So let's keep going here. We're at 76% now. You can't see that right now. Let's bring this back down. And we can resize the window so it stays, everything stays in here. We'll scroll down here and we'll look at where it is. So it keeps going. I think what happened was when I switched it back and forth, that's where these lines came in like that. So that'd be really interesting, but it's still keeping the timestamps as best as possible. Now, keep in mind, if you pull the timestamps from a video and then just re-encode it as MP3, WAV file, or whatever, timestamps might not be completely accurate as if you just put the video in there. If you have an MP3 or a WAV file and you're bringing that in that way, it's going to definitely save on some of your resources because it's a smaller file, because it's audio only, doesn't have to worry about the video portion of anything, and it can focus on the transcribing from there. So, all right, so we are at about 97%. So this is almost done, which is great. And this only took about 8 to 10 minutes somewhere right now. And that was a 20 to 23 minute. As you can see, I had some extra audio. I had some sound effects in there. So it's gunshots. I think there were gunshots in there. And then, of course, blank audio, which basically was my ending Geekazine logo, which I put on a lot of my videos. So if there was any direction that's in there, you would see it in here, but I didn't do any other sound effects from there. So once again, if I want to put it in any other format, all I have to do, SRT, boom, just like that. And now I have a full timestamp for transcription, for sending it to anything, Amazon, to YouTube, to Netflix, to whatever. If you're making Netflix videos, this is a great way to do it. In fact, I just had a friend, he submitted a movie, which I did play a role in, where it's basically he had to go and go through the transcription. And of course, when you do that, you definitely want to go through and watch the movie, watch the video, and make sure all words are correct and they're in the places that they need to be in. And then, of course, you can make alterations from there. Let's look at the settings before we do this. We can change our language here. We got a dark or a light theme or a special theme. So if you want to have, I don't know, I'm guessing this is something where you can customize yourself. So right now, that's the themes that we have. We can play sounds. We can have the focus window. We can customize our model link. So as you can see, we're using the gglm medium bin. So we'll need to change, if we need to change models folder, we can do so. That'll take us to something we downloaded, and then we can download models from here. So I have the standard gglm model in there. We can do the large model for higher accuracy. We can do a small model. It really depends on how much space you have on the computer for there. All right, let's talk about the language models. And at first I thought what this meant was this language area. I thought it meant that you could actually go and you could turn this into, let's say, French. And then, of course, transcribe it, and it would actually transcribe and translate. It does not do a translate. What it does do is it will adjust the model for the language that's being spoken. So I tried to do this in French, that same video in French. And as you can see, it still said, "What's up, my geeks?" But notice the weird inconsistencies. Je vois powers here from Geekazine. Maybe I have a French accent or something like that. If I was saying this in French, then the transcription will show in French. It does not do a language to language transcription. All it does is transcribe what it's hearing into words. So if you want to have more free models, these are the AI models that you can bring in. One more thing I wanted to tell you here, and that is this is ChatGPT's answer to if you tried to put the file in and ask for transcription, because it does not transcribe the file, but it will suggest other things such as opening Google Docs, choosing tools and voice typing, playing the audio file and letting it transcribe, which is what I normally do at events. Otherwise, they suggest like Otter AI or Descript or Microsoft Word, which will also do a dictate option. And then Google Text-to-Speech or Whisper by OpenAI, which is a sound model. So ChatGPT does have an option, but it's not part of ChatGPT. I went over to Gemini to check the same thing. First of all, they don't give you an upload image. So I actually had to use a Dropbox location. And it basically said, I can't directly access transcribe audio files from the internet. And it basically says to use an online transcription service, do it yourself, or contact the owner of the audio. So it doesn't want to deal with the aspect of the copyright there. So keep that in mind when you are using or going to try to use it for ChatGPT and Gemini. Now, I have had some success with this on ChatGPT and Gemini if it comes from YouTube, simply because there's already a transcription. It's just reading the Open API transcription of that and then bringing it in so I can do a summary or anything like that. But keep in mind, once again, if you're doing it for somebody else's video, it is copyright material. So just keep that in mind when you do that. We talked about Focus with 3 O's, where you can download and actually create images off of your computer. This is doing transcription. You can get a version of ChatGPT and say things like, put this into a blog post, and it will then clean it up and do things like that, all from the computer, which is really great. The whole point is that if you want to get the transcription of the video that's in there, then you can use something like Vibe. It's going to be absolutely free. It's just going to cost you whatever it costs you to turn on your computer and run your computer, and give you a transcription, which you could then, like I said, you could do all the timestamps and put this into a program, or you can get this straight up text and then put that into ChatGPT or whatever to create a blog post, or just to post it as it is. So, great little tool that you can put into your computer. Doesn't take up too much space, depending on the models that you have. Let's look at the models really quick. So if you go to the page, he suggests these models. There are a lot more just by clicking here. This is over at somebody else's GitHub, where they've collected a whole bunch of models. If you're talking a lot of programming language, you would probably choose one of these different ones. If you're talking about something that's all inclusive, you want to get a larger LLM, that's a large language model database. So you have different options here, and you want to use one that's going to fit to what you're trying to do. For me, I'm basically talking about a product. So the language is going to be average from high school to college level type words. So this is going to be perfect. If I say encephalographic technologist, we'll see how that transfers onto the text after I'm done recording here, and then we'll post that, of course, down here. So we'll see what happens from that. But the whole point is that if you want a good starting base to transcribe your videos before it even hits up on YouTube, because YouTube will do some of this transcription. Some other programs will do transcription as well, but like, for instance, Geekazine is a very specific term. So how will it react to your version of Geekazine? Will you see Geekazine? Will you see Geek-A-Zine? Will you see Geoffroy Powers? Or will you see Jeffrey Powers from Geekazine? I hope, if you're also Jeffrey Powers from Geekazine, definitely use that. That's for sure. So, but anyway, that is Vibe in a nutshell. It runs on Mac. It runs on PC. There is an Android and iOS version being developed as we speak. Maybe by the time you're actually watching this, it'll be out there. So you could put it onto a phone and then do some of the transcriptions on the road. And that'd be pretty cool, because then I don't have to rely on the internet to do my transcriptions. What are you doing with AI to make your job a lot easier? Let me know in the comments below over at geekazine.com or youtube.com/geekazine, where you can like, subscribe, comment, bell notifications so you know when the next video comes out. Until next time, my name is Jeffrey Powers. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks a lot for listening. Until next time, you guys geek out and vibe on with Vibe Transcription app.